What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Throttled Roots podcast, recorded right here at our home inside of Ventura, Harley Davidson. If you're looking for a new, pre-owned, or any service for your motorcycle, Ventura Harley Davidson is the only spot to come and bring it to. And of course, this episode sponsored and brought to you by Law Tigers. If you ever get involved in a motorcycle accident, you or somebody you know, don't call the insurance company. The only people to call is Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW Tigers. What's up, dog?
What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there.
Good, man. A little different type of podcast for me today, man.
I guess so.
Yeah, a little bit different type of podcast. But I'm, I always, like, when I bring in a guest, it's always usually the tie always is motorcycles. There's always like a motorcycle thing in there. But my homeboy Drew, schoolmates, man.
Since
elementary, man.
Little kids run around.
Yeah. Boogers running around and shit, man. So, but my homeboy Drew, I brought him in today and used to ride. I asked him, you still riding, you still banging them gears and stuff, and he's like, no, gave it up. Had to hang up the leather,
hang the spurs up. Lots of stuff started happening, so it just things got different.
Well, like I always say, man, you can always buy another motorcycle.
It's well, as soon as I come in here, I started right when I walked in. I was like, I've been missing it.
How long has it been?
Oh shit, man, a few years.
Okay.
A nice little bit.
About 4 or 5 years. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. It was a sporty, right? It was at least the last bike that I knew you had.
I had the little sporty. I just kind of customized out, and I had a night train.
Oh, you had night train too?
Yeah,
I didn't know you had one of those.
Yeah, night trains. That was kind of my first love right there. I like that whole blacked out thing. That's kind of when it first initially kind of
big wide wheel, right?
Yeah,
big fat wide rear wheel and shit. Yeah, and so if you need a bike, they got plenty of them here, homeboy.
I'm trying to keep my eyes
blinders on.
Yeah, because I've already seen a couple, and I'm like, hey.
So when we walk out of here, I'll just walk you straight to your car. Get on out, man. So, well, I appreciate you rolling through, man. There's oftentimes people aren't willing to maybe just sit down and just have the conversation, and a little context, a little bit to more or less where this one will kind of be going is, I don't know that I want to call it a political. I want to call it, I think, more of like points of view, maybe upbringing, stuff like that, because I think that I personally, in my ways, I think upbringing, and then maybe your influences, maybe people you hung out with, and then of course life events. I think life experiences and events get us to our political air quotes.
Exactly.
Our
exactly. Yeah. I mean, most of it realistically, politically, comes down to differences in beliefs of fundamental values. I guess you could say. You believe in abortion or you don't, or things like that. And I guess that's maybe where I vary a little bit, because I do, believe in particular things, but abortion, for instance, like I'm not necessarily let's go abort all the babies, let's do these late-term abortions, let's do, all of that stuff.
It sounds like there are circumstances.
But there are definitely circumstances. I mean, obviously, rape, incest, that sort of thing, whatever. But aside from that, also, if people aren't able to take care of a child, financially, whatever, emotionally, family-wise, whatever the case may be, I don't feel that we should try to put them in that situation,
right?
Especially when it comes to this is going into that political line of shit. It's like you don't want to allow abortion, but then you don't want to assist the people that you're making have the child that don't want to have the child or shouldn't be having a child.
And I think that's why, I think I recognize that that's why it is such a, not just the abortion thing, but all the what side are you on is sensitive, because there are so many variables and there's so many factors.
Exactly. Everything's not black and white.
Nope.
There's a lot of gray areas.
Yep.
And again, I'm not necessarily against states, making that choice, I guess. I'm not in favor of it. I think it should be national.
Yeah.
But I'm not fully against that, I guess.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's not the worst thing in the world, I'll say.
I feel you, man.
But the problem I have is that they're now passing laws that makes it illegal to go to other states.
I get it.
And you're getting the person in trouble who is taking the person to other states to get this kind of stuff done. Like that's above and beyond what you were initially looking for.
100%.
If you're making it by state, then let somebody go to another state.
Agreed.
Because I've heard, all my family's very, Trump supporting people.
So I guess that is where I think to set the tone and set some context for this conversation. I think that's where it would be the. And to give you a little context, the reason I invited Drew here because it's random that I haven't talked to Drew in a minute. I follow him on Facebook and try and keep up with what's happening with him.
With my bike one.
Yeah, I help him out with his bike. In fact, I think that's how I got your number because I went back at our messages and I'm like, oh, he shot me his number. I hope it's the same one.
When I got it, I was like, oh, hey, there's a previous shit on here.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I think just to give you some context, you and I are friends on Instagram, or Facebook, maybe even Instagram.
Yeah.
And, with the new, well, I'll say it, with the new orange man in the office, with the new orange man in office, then it's a hot topic. It's a sensitive topic. It can be a button pushing kind of topic.
It's I think it's a very, very much a hot topic, button pushing type thing. Like, because just the way things have changed politically, I feel like. Again, like now I'm gonna get into the old man shit,
That's all right.
I'm old man here, right? So I feel like when I was younger and Republicans and Democrats disagreed, they just disagreed, basically politically, but they were able to come together to get some shit done.
I could stand behind that.
For the most part, obviously, there was shit that they couldn't come to terms on, and that just was that. But they, for the most part, were able to figure negotiations out and come together. Now I feel like, and this is both parties, they both went to I'm sorry,
no,
because I
say it like it is, dog.
I cuss a lot of
we allow it here.
All right, thanks. So both sides have gone to fucking extremes.
Yep.
Like, so I can't say I agree with the extreme Democrat side. There's some weird shit they're talking about, like when the riots started, like, defund the police. That's fucking great, dude.
Okay.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So it's nice to know that that you're level-headed on that, because there are some extremes, things like that, where I'm like, man, how can anybody believe that might be a really good idea?
Like, that's just like,
it's nice to have some common ground here, where we're kind of at least like, all right.
That was just kind of the dumbest thing I had kind of ever heard. Like, what do you fucking mean defund the police? Like, when anything bad happens, who are you gonna call? Like, Steve from down the road.
And let's be real, Drew. I mean, I don't know, like, police. We're not highest on our. We've had our run-ins. I don't know about you.
I've had some crazy incidents with the police. Like, I'm half Mexican, half German. My last name happens to be Schultz. And cops told me you're too white to be called to have his last name Schultz. That's kind of like crazy. Like,
yeah,
who the fuck says that? In either case, like, there are obviously good and bad people in every group that you'll find.
Agree.
Police, whites, Mexicans, blacks, whatever. Everybody. There's always the asshole, right? And I just kind of feel like, again, I actually voted for Bush back in the day. The whole deal, dude. Like, so this is what's weird about it. Like, it's quite literally, more specifically, a Trump thing.
Okay. You have a problem more with the orange man,
with what he is specifically doing and how he's going about stuff.
Okay,
you're bypassing the actual ways of, like, our government is supposed to run.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I think that's a good segue into it. Because this is part of the conversation that we had. And if you guys are interested in our conversation, go to Drew's post, because I was just going on there. I'm just fucking with you.
And frustrated, like, I'm sitting at work on my night shift, like, man, that son of a, oh man, I'll tell you what, keyboard warrior and up.
And you were at work, I was sitting on the shitter. We were, man. One of the things that I think that where I believe that in your context in terms of Trump is we're not dealing with a lifelong politician anymore.
I agree with that.
And I think for me, you know, I have my let me make sure that I put this out there. That do I think he's the smartest, most brilliant, and he approaches things in the best way? No. Nope. I don't believe that. Okay. And what I do recognize is that his approach and the way he says things, it is not the career politician response. And I think that's what will enrage and get people like fired up, because it's not the polished, the let me make sure that I'm saying this in front of the camera so that the word, because
and that draws people in. Like, you know, he talks like me and you. He's like a normal type of guy.
It draws people in, but it also leaves a shitty taste in people's mouth too. Because
that's the trade-off. Right?
I'll admit, I'm like, dude, you didn't have to say it like that. I know what you meant, because I'm at least I believe I'm smart enough to kind of decipher and read between the lines, or at least go, man, I know what he's saying, and I can interpret it that way. But I'm a believer in delivery is everything. Delivery, how you can say the same words in two different, literally the same words, but it can come across in two different ways depending how you deliver that message.
100%.
And he is a prime example sometimes of how that gets construed and constructed with him. Because I wouldn't say I'm like the MAGA Trump, like, come on, man. Like, I'm not that dude.
Mm-hmm.
I am the dude that just goes, man, that's for me, my morals, my values, my upbringing, my kind of way I'm going through life lines up with it. Now, the way you said it enrages a shit ton of people because you delivered it.
That's kind of part of his deal too. I mean, that's
he likes being in front of the camera. Come on, he loves
being in front of the camera. But I mean, it a lot of time feels divisive on a lot of subjects and a lot of things where it's like, and in the same token, like, I don't want the leader of the United States working like this. You know, when he's calling other leaders of nations, whether you like the nation or not, when he's calling other leaders of nations like names, and like,
what names?
Rocket Man, and like when he was calling I don't know, dude. Like,
see, and I'm gonna go
the China flu and like all of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to.
No, you're good.
I don't want to be represented in that light. I feel like everything that the world feels about America, he's like going like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's fucking exactly what we are, dude. You know, like, and like super happy about it. And I just feel like we're a world leader. Right? Like, we're a world leader.
Here's what I'm to answer that. I at one point I feel like we were, and I believe my thought process over the past, let's say, I don't know, shit. Well, you had Barack for 8 years, and you had Trump, and then you had Biden. So you've had, over the past course of basically 16 years, out of those 12 years, you've had kind of a democratic kind of concept, you know, and I
with a little
break in between, right? With a little break in between. But I kind of feel like in that time period, our world dominance approach, our world, like, we are the leaders, we're not respected in that sense anymore.
And as far as what? As far as physically tough, like we're powering nation, or that people like respect us because we're able to talk with them.
Respect, man. I guess, and to go back to what you said, respect us in the sense that they've got their shit together. They've got, like, the United States, they're a powerhouse because how they conduct and we'll touch on this, how they conduct their business, how they conduct their country isn't respected as much, because we're over here fighting and arguing and about, you know, a boy and a girl and who is what and this and the abortion thing and all this stuff. And there's so much fighting amongst the people and the division of it, whether it's left or right, because I truly believe that both, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Both parties went like this. I'm going to go way over here, and I'm going to have...
It used to be closer to the middle. And they were able to sometimes just come together and figure it out. both sides went just in complete opposite directions.
Yep.
Where neither side can see, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's it's so far off the horizon you can't even see the horizon.
It doesn't even make it. You can't even fathom what they're saying. You can't figure out what they're.
I think for those reasons, and that is way powers beyond us. That's the political powers. That's all that stuff, and that's the game. All right, that's the political game. I think for those reasons, we're not respected anymore on that world dominance level. Our education system is shit. Our kids
it's shit, but it's not as bad as people try to make it out to be. Like when Trump stated that we are like 40 out of 40 developed nations in education. That's
if we're the powerhouse, it should be number one. If we're going to stand on ground and say that we have the best technology, we have the best economy, we have the best infrastructure, we have the best everything of this. If we're going to stand on that, then we've got to start with our education system, because it's a continual thing, right? And I don't think that we have that anymore. I'll use myself.
But how is getting rid of the Department of Education any type of a solution to that?
I don't know that it's getting rid of it as a solution. I think, like we talked about a little bit offline, restructure.
100%.
And if getting rid of, here's a get down. At least we're only, what are we in? February? We're only a month, not even 2 months into this new administration, right? And I'll be the first to admit, you guys came in and shook shit up. I mean, right out the gate. Right out the gate, right? They shook a lot of shit up, for good or for bad.
Yeah, I believe that was a couple of our arguments on that.
For good or for bad, they came in and just shook shit up and said, "We're gonna toss things around." Now, you have said it also that let's see, right? You're shaking all this shit up. Let's see how that shit kind of pans out.
That's initially how I literally went into his presidency. Like, you know what? I hated his first term. I thought it was terrible. When I saw people marching out of the cornfields with torches, chanting "the Jews will not replace us," that was crazy to me. That was like an actual thing that happened.
Okay, but just to
counteract that.
To counteract it, just to say, no, it's just simply, you said it before. There's shitty people everywhere, and those people don't reflect like me.
I agree. I agree. And the fact that he defended them was where he said there's good people on both sides. That doesn't, you know what? Like, that doesn't even need to be said. When people are coming out with torches saying the Jews will not replace us, and I forget, there was another one that they were saying, like, at some point you just need to kind of take a stance and be like, you know what, this isn't all right.
And I think that's
what we can both speak. We can speak our minds, but let's be fucking realistic here. Like,
that's the delivery portion of it. That's the shitty delivery portion that he may have. And to me, my interpretation of the Orange Man is that's him not being a career politician. That's him being a businessman. And that's part of what we talked about.
I guess I'll give you that, but I feel like it goes further than that.
Behind closed doors, everything does, man.
Okay.
Behind closed doors, because I'm sure that the people that are chanting and saying, like, he said there was good people, and then all the little hot takes of just like that part of it, like, look at him, he's saying these people, I'm sure that those people chanting all that stuff, like, look at the Orange Man, he said there was good people in there. When they go back behind closed doors, I'm sure that there are, I'm sure that you understand that. And well,
I'm not saying every single person was chanting that, and every single person is a bad person.
Yeah.
There were children in there, and you're like, all that stuff. I'm not saying that by any means. But when there's a large portion of the entire group that is chanting stuff, walking with torches.
But it's a portion. And I'm not defending them, because that is shit. Those people can rot in hell. I will say that.
So you're saying it was basically the minority of the group rather than the majority of the group.
I'm saying that, okay, we'll flip it and not look at it in that context.
So I didn't want to I'm not talking about the minorities.
No. I mean, let's use the riots as an example, right? With George Floyd, right? BLM stuff, right? Yeah. We'll use the kind of the riots as an example. Do you think that everybody that was out there was burning cars and burning buildings? No, right? No.
Like I said, you always have the assholes that will try and take advantage of a situation. Yep. Hey, I can get some shit out of here.
You got the looters, you got the people that just want to cause destruction.
Yes.
But I also know that there were people out there marching, being involved with all these, because it was all over. It was everywhere, right? Different parts of the country, regularly everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that there were people, and I didn't have to see them to know that they were there, that there were people there that were really there to be like, hey man, there was a serious injustice that happened over here, and didn't need to take the action of burning it down or looting or doing any of the graffiti and all that other stuff. And I guess
a normal protest type stuff, you're speaking your mind, but not
going to the extreme.
Exactly.
That,
Got you.
So on that end of it, it would be the same for me to go and say, with the pitchforks and the other stuff, and him to say there's good people in there, because I can go out on a limb, I can go out on the olive branch and say, hey, when there was an injustice with Homeboy, and we all saw the video, we all saw that stuff, when there was that happening, I know that there were shit people that were out there, and they were out there to do damage and do harm and do cause, because they're the crap people, they're the shit. But I also know that there was people out there that were like, hey man, I'm out here trying to just protest, because we as Americans have that right to be able to do that.
That's our right, yes.
And that was exercised. But the overwhelming majority of what was
it turned into.
Well, not the overwhelming majority of it, but I guess what was shown on the face of the news on one side or the other was burning buildings and cars overturned and graffiti, and that's the shitty part, is then because everybody probably focused on that. Just like the pitchfork incidents and all that stuff.
Rather than what they're actually protesting against, the actual death of a person that was in custody on the ground.
Yeah, agreed. We all saw the video. We can all, I don't think, we can all look at that and go, dude, what the fuck?
Well, okay. But at the same time, you have reasonable people that are able to look at it like that. My father back in the day, the Rodney King shit. My father explained to me how, Rodney King, he deserved that to be he was on drugs and he was running away from the car.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the other side of it. Yeah. All right. You have these people out here that oh, well, he did something wrong, so he deserved to be a knee on the neck and to die. Right? That's where, again, the extreme type shit, where it's
But do you think that percentage of people, whether it's your dad, whether it's mine, or whether it's a friend who will send that, do you think and believe that they represent others that are on maybe, because there's a part of me that goes, hey man, you breaking the law. You did bad. Now, do you deserve to die because of what you're doing? No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
But there are consequences for your dumbass decisions.
Agreed. I'm not even going to deny that.
And I think that's where the difference, sometimes people get a little too gun-ho about well, he was on drugs. Okay, so he was in the wrong. We get it. But to have the ultimate outcome of what it was, is that justified? No. No, not at all, man. We have a court system for that. We have a check and balance system for that stuff to work itself out when it's all said and done.
Checks and balances.
And we have, fuck that system too, boy. We're supposed to have a check and balance system.
Yeah, well, again, wow. Let's just keep.
Yeah. Sorry. No. So, there's always two sides of every story, right? There's always two sides of every story. And
3 sides is every story.
3 sides.
Yours, mine, and the truth.
That's the truth, man. And I think what has, I believe, my opinion, what has divided us is those stories that are being delivered, man. Because you can watch one news outlet and another news outlet, and you will be like, well, fuck, which one was it?
It's almost like two people watching a football game or sports game that like the two opposite teams when it comes down to making a catch on the sidelines where they're like one person, like we'll watch the same exact replay, and you're like, dude, he was totally fucking in, and I'm like, go fuck away, you're like, I see it completely different than you, and we literally just watched the same exact thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's a little different because the news stations have their spins on it, based off of who their companies are owned by and what they're pushing, and that sort of thing. And so again, I feel like the media does have a big part to play in the division.
Giant.
However, media is actually needed to kind of try and keep people in check. Like
it is
doing. I'm not talking about like that's normal every day. Like you're doing, like these, these like pop up, like cool stories, whatever. Like these daily stories, like investigative journalism, like. Where you're actually putting in fucking time and months and researching a subject and going into it and then writing out a full,
full article,
summary of all your findings and all that stuff.
Do you think we have that anymore? Do you think journalism exists in 2025?
Yes. Not as much as
the journalism you just described. Does that exist still?
Yes, I feel it does. I feel like it's
on a percentage wise, or at least if you could put a number on it with how much media and news is out there. 100% is the number. How much real journalism is happening within that 100%?
Yeah, I mean that one's hard to say because it depends on where you're finding it and who
your source, right?
Yeah, your source and that sort of thing. So I can't say a high percentage because obviously there's just so much fucking news coming out from a million different
even people that aren't even news people.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Like on podcast live, like there's people that are speaking about stuff, and obviously that isn't the case here, but in their mom's basement, talking about this and that and about how they know they have the information that nobody else has of how Trump actually won the 2020 election or whatever it may be. And it's like, Joe Blow, over here doesn't have that information. I hate to break it to everybody.
I agree.
But he doesn't find that one piece of evidence where it's like.
And I think that's why I posed the question, because I'm on the same level with you in terms of how much real journalism and how much real, you've heard the term fact checking. Oh shit, man! If you got one side of the people fact checking their own fact checks or whatever, then what type of fact check are you really getting? So I believe
I don't think you can just go like Google something right away and be like, oh, the first answer that person said is going to be the right one. You're like, you got to probably look around a little bit and see,
And I think that's where I'm kind of where I'm trying to get at is, for me, that number is like, if I had to just put a number on it. I'm thinking with everything that is out there and with everybody, myself included, having a camera to be able to voice their opinion and say they're this and do that and all that shit, man, less than 5%. That real journalism where people are actively going like, okay, let me go talk to the red side and then I'm going to go talk to the blue side. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to take what the red side said and what the blue side said, and I'm just using these colors. So I'm just going to say A and B. Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Bloods of Crips, man. They going to talk both sides.
I'm going to take the A side. I'm going to take the B side. Yeah. The amount of journalism that is happening when somebody goes out there and says, I'm going to talk to A, I'm going to talk to B, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to take what A said and take what B said and actually compare it to literature and real numbers and data and actual stuff, because that takes the time that you said. It takes a shit ton of energy and effort and research to do it.
Those are not daily stories.
Not at all. Mm-hmm. And then you can go and put out a reasonable thing and go, okay, I talked to A, I talked to B, I checked it all against it. Some of it made sense. This didn't make sense compared to the data that's out there. And here's the article that's out there. Now it's up to me and you and everyone else to go and read stuff like that. To me, that stuff just doesn't exist anymore. It's all just kind of clickbait. It's all pick a side.
I'll give you clickbait is a.
It's all pick a side. It's division. It's you're on this side, you're on that side, and then unfortunately sometimes you not unfortunately, that's a terrible choice of words. But if you're the person, if you're a Democratic person, you're going to get your news source from over here. And most of the time, people are not going to go, well, let me see what the other side is saying. They're just going to receive it from this outlet.
This enforces my beliefs, so this is the information I want to take in.
Yep.
That's you're more self-assured, reassured of what you're hearing when you hear people agreeing with you.
Yes.
That's realistically, that's another problem. That's what people want to have, like, and that reassurance.
That's society, and that's the world that we live in right now. And so, kind of full circling back to it, the media has, to me, unfortunately now, a giant influence with it. And, the Orange Man,
I think they've kind of always had a giant influence, but I feel that it's increased more recently.
Over the past, like when we say when I use a 16-year number before with Barack and then the Orange Man and then back to Biden and back to the Orange Man, I think in the last 20 years,
I'll just say 20 years.
The last 20 years is kind of where it's really gonna been like, all right, well, we're choosing a side, and that's the side that we're going down. And the Orange Man, Trump. Let me ask you this. Do you think he's been given a fair shake? Do you think he's been given in terms of media, do you think the media has given him a fair opportunity, or do you kind of feel like because it's pick a side right now. That's fucked up way that it is right now when it comes to media, right?
Yeah.
And you got one side just totally, in my perception, of just constantly trying to make sure that hey, this guy's bad. We will never report anything, even if he do something fucking good, which he did do good stuff during his presidency. Even when he did do some good shit, did it get reported? And in today's news, Donald Trump shook hands for the first time with China after 30 years of new. That's it. We move on, and there's not at least the nod of hey, we're moving the needle. Because that's really what we're supposed to be doing, right? As a country, we're supposed to be moving the needle.
Yes, no, I agree with that. I just almost feel like he comes in a fucking flurry of shit to where he does a good thing, and then almost immediately after, before the news cycle even ends, he's doing some stupid shit where it's well, now we gotta move on. What shit you said?
That's his ego.
Yeah,
that's his ego.
Probably. But it's just he keeps coming out fire and just with so much shit, and it's just kind of okay, well, yeah, you did think what, and then you're what the fuck? What do you want? What just happened? What? And it's wow, well, it's just almost like a roller coaster ride where you get up oh, this is great, this is we're on our way, and then he's fuck it, right down the line, holy shit, and and I just feel that again, going over to the Trump thing is currently I feel he's skipping around our checks and balances. And I feel those checks and balances, like you had said, on our post or whatever, that democracy isn't definitely not perfect. It's an idea. That has mostly worked. Does it need some tweaking and stuff like that? Yes. Everything that as far as us being a country, we've only technically been around for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
So there's countries that have been around for thousands and centuries and whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So we're still fairly new at this whole deal. All right. So democracy isn't a finished good now. It's just constantly been evolving, throughout the years. I just feel
say it with your chest out.
I just feel the overall concept of what it is correct.
I would agree.
Where you're putting in checks and balances, you have the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, which are supposed to technically keep all of each other in line.
I've said this before about government, right? When it comes to authority and government, personally, I hate to feel like I have like a ruler, like I have somebody reigning over me, right? And that's the like, man, I don't need government telling me what the fuck to do, right?
And that's the normally the Republican thought process. You smaller government, you don't want them telling the citizens what to do.
But in line with what you're saying, I don't need and don't want the government to sit there and have to tell me what to do and enforce regulations and put all this stuff into play, right? I don't. Less regulations are better for me, but I also recognize and understand that without it, it's called anarchy.
Yes, and do you remember back, when we have the big, the market crash? That's from deregulation. Like as soon as you start deregulating stuff, everybody finds, because okay, you know what, no matter what program you have, food stamps, whatever, there's always, just like we talked about, there's always those assholes in the groups. There's always going to be people that try to take advantage of the system.
Yep.
They try and find those loopholes and all that stuff.
Yep.
Especially corporations, because what else do they got to do but spend money on finding ways to make more money or save themselves money?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start deregulating everything, which is literally what happened in this mortgage crisis, you started handing out money to people that shouldn't have to get that money.
Yeah.
I actually worked in the mortgage industry at that time. They were doing ninja loans.
What was a ninja?
No income, no job assessment. How do you give somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars without verifying that they have a job, they can pay that back?
Yeah.
Okay, so like this is stuff, again, that kind of went into extreme shit.
Yeah.
But once you start deregulating shit, the regulations are there mostly for a reason. Does it get bureaucratic and there's like, regulations on top of regulations on top of regulations on top of regulations? Yes. Do those need to be thinned down? Yes.
Yeah.
Does there still need to be regulations in place so we keep these companies operating at a sane level? I mean, because we're in a capitalistic society.
It's the
so
best
the more money you can make, the better it is.
Yep.
So we have to keep these corporations in check that, well, yeah, you can make as much money as you can within reason, within particular, like unions were formed because workers were being taken advantage of. There, if you go back to the, early times.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you were sitting in Jeff Bezos' seat, would you want to be told that you can only make, or you are going to be regulated to make X amount of money up to a certain point? Now, if you worked within that, but if
they're not telling you there's only a certain amount, there are rules, laws that you need to follow. You need to go at a particular speed when you're on your bike. Right on the way. There are laws that people need to follow that I don't like, you don't like.
Yeah.
Corporations probably don't like, but you know what? Those are flipping rules to keep everybody safe and not flipping out.
I agree. I would say that I will put this on the record that I don't trust any politician. I don't trust any of them.
No.
Democrat, Republican, Independent, because my experience has been that it is they're there to benefit themselves. They don't believe now in 2025, the year 2025, there are any, and this it's going to sound kind of shitty to say, but I think I've come to this conclusion that in the year 2025, I don't think there are any politicians that are running to be a president, to be a governor, to be a mayor, to be a city council, to be anything simply for the benefit of bettering government, bettering their city. Now, they probably have that intent. They got something in there. But once you get in, it's so fucked up now.
You just get you get fall into
as I say, you get pulled into the swamp and drain the swamp, right?
Yes.
And you get sucked in, you get baited in, and your colleague over here is doing it, and then and then you have no choice.
Say anything bad or have any conflicts, I can just kind of keep my job for a long time.
Exactly.
Kind of ride through.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I say that because I think that's why people like Trump. And that's why people like these corporations or these governors or these mayors or anybody are wanting to get in there. because it gives them the authority to make it better for whether it's themselves or a particular party or individuals that they're trying to that they will have for themselves, that they have like a connection to. Like, hey, they have a like they're 4 people down the line, but I'm going to get into office, and through that person and through that person and that person, it's all going to kick back to me. I don't think that any politicians, unfortunately, now are really like wanting like, especially at
they're looking for what's good for them,
especially at the president level, dog. Come on, I'm gonna be real. Like, I don't care if it's Barack Obama, I don't care if it's Bill Clinton, I don't care if it's Donald Trump, I don't care if it's Michelle Obama, I don't care who it. They are now in there. They are now trying to be in there for the power to be able to make things that will better themselves and their circle.
Well, I mean, correct. I mean, you saw it on his inauguration. I mean, it was all the billionaires of corporations and companies sitting in the front row where there's usually, Congress people and stuff like that sitting. So I mean, that's kind of nerve-wracking when you see the richest people in the entire world all sitting up there. Like, I'd have to say I'm pretty sure they don't have my best interest in mind.
No, but sometimes in the like one of the things we were talking about was, and this country. I guess I should ask a question. Do you believe that this country is a business, or do you believe this country is strictly a government? It is a democracy, and that is its purpose.
I do not feel that we've had this conversation.
And I think this has to do with
country. Should be run like a business. And after we had that conversation, I actually, I kind of thought of it because, like I said, you responded back and, you presented your point of view well enough to where it made me kind of take a step back and say, hey,
I can see that.
All right, and which is why I said, you know what, you made a very well, a well-stated argument, good point, all of that stuff. But again, that doesn't mean I agree with you.
Agree. Yeah.
But once we had talked about that, I actually did kind of go on online and kind of like looked around like more, about government versus business, that sort of thing, and I found this thing like I copied it down because I wanted to show it to you.
I love to see it.
But it actually really did break it down between constituents and employees.
Okay.
And I can't remember exactly all.
I get it. Yeah.
I've been drinking a little bit, so it's not all freshly there, but it's on there. I'll show it to you at some point. But it breaks it down to where it's like, and it talks about like business sides and that sort of thing. Businesses have a choice to. It's all for profit, right?
Yeah.
So they have a choice to eliminate certain lines of business that aren't profiting as well as other lines of business, i.e. layoffs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Governments, they don't have that. That's not ability that they possess, or even should possess.
If I'll put it so that for the people that watch this, because I know you said your friends are going to watch this.
Yeah, all my friends, they're all Trump fans, and they're like, well, yeah, I want to see you get your ass.
No.
It's cool, man.
Okay,
whatever.
No,
I got something to say. So
for in the terms of like let me put it, I guess, in the way that I kind of broke it down for you. The income of America is through taxpayers and through fees, court fees. That's how these things
and Social Security.
So that's how these things are funded.
But then once we have that money, we are supposed to be investing that money and making it work for the people. So all of that stuff has returns.
Correct. So that is business. That is a operation, and that's why my point of view is that the United States is ran like a business. It is essentially business. And pull it up, man. Pull it up.
Sorry, I don't want to try and argue about this. Like, I just want to read it to you, or at least let you read it, because it broke it down in such like I feel like a good way to where it's a kind of understanding.
I'd love to hear it. Pull it up, man. Pull it up, and we'll read it. No. This is real. No, dude, you're not. I normally have a producer here, man, that will bring up stuff on the screen for us and stuff. But yeah, so we just kind of we're winging it today. We're winging it.
Here, I'll let you kind of.
Okay, let me read it. I would love to read it. From where? The shareholders part?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, profit versus people? Okay, so
those are just 3 points that they kind of made that I felt kind of made sense. Like, oh.
Okay, so profit versus people. A corporation's mission is to make profits. This isn't just good business sense, it's also a legally binding component of incorporating. Government's mission is to provide for all citizens through the common good, things like roads, schools, and police protection. In fact, if a government is profiting, then they are probably hoarding tax dollars for no good reason. Agree. Microsoft may be smart for keeping $36.1 billion in cash and liquid short-term investments, but the government will be letting the people down if they sat on that much money and weren't using it to keep the country running. 100% agree with that statement. That is a very well put example of profit versus people. I think that breaks it down perfect. Shareholders versus citizens. There are 535 people in Congress, the president and 9 judges. All of these politicians and judges answer to over 300 million Americans. That's a lot of decision makers, but it's this system of checks and balances that works to ensure each person's voice is heard. It isn't perfect. Lobbyists, special interests, and corruption still exist, but consider the alternative. As a minor shareholder in a major company, you wouldn't even have the opportunity to vote on major business decisions like whether or not to remove a failing CEO. You're right. This makes it kind of just black and white, right?
Like, I'm not saying this is the end all be all to it all. No. Like, when I saw it, I was like, you know what? This
makes sense. Yeah, I get it.
Like, I'm able to read this and
it hit. Okay.
And it hits home.
Is this the customers versus constituents?
Yeah.
Companies have the luxury of dumping a line of business because it isn't profitable or choose to streamline their offerings to serve just one sector of the population. Agree. Government agencies do not have this option. This is a good thing. Imagine if Apple ran the government. Fire and police departments would only answer calls to homes of 20-something.
I feel like it gets weird. Like, you'd have to do stuff by iTunes. Like,
we'd have to use iTunes to file their taxes. They kind of, yeah.
That's a whole other thing. But
okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, fire departments, police. Those aren't meant to make profit.
Okay.
Like, they are literally services that are provided by the government via our tax dollars and all that stuff that are literally not there to make any type of a profit whatsoever.
So the thing that stands out to me the most on this one is the profit versus people. Out of these 3 bullet points, that's probably the one that I go, all right, I agree with how that's broken down. Now, this isn't a business, and let me clarify. When I say the United States is a business, I understand and recognize that it is not in terms of corporation, making profits, doing all that type of stuff, right? That I agree with, because it said that if we were hoarding money, and we wouldn't be being fair to the people that are the taxpayers and all the stuff. So I agree with that portion of it, because government's objective should be to zero. Right, you should be net zeroing
all
everything.
Of that money should be going to
us.
What infrastructure?
Agree, 100%. It should be, and I think that's where where I think our difference of opinion goes is that I recognize that it's not a business in the sense of making profits and operating it in a sense where we're bringing in a bunch of dollars to pocket the lines of whether it's politicians, judges, give them more, whatever it may be. I think of it in terms of, we need to run this country like a business so that instead of having $50 million to be able to spread amongst people for roads and this and programs and the people who need it, we then, and this may be a sensitive subject, but this is an example, we then charge tariffs on other people to be able to bring in more money to then disperse that money. Now, the caveat to that is, okay, if we didn't have tariffs, right? I'm not a tariff expert, but I recognize that if a product is being brought in from another country and we're not charging them enough on taxing that product to be brought in, the people that are bringing it in from another country are making it on a profit on a business, right? But through the United States, through the people of the United States, they're selling that product through the people of the United States. Now, the United States doesn't have a problem with that product being sold to the people. It's being brought in. It's good for the economy. It's good for the people. They want a product.
People want that product.
They want that product. Whether it makes their life easier, whatever the reason that it may be. So on that side of it, if the United States isn't getting their fair share, or they see and recognize an ability to go, hey, you're making millions of dollars off of our people because your product is amazing. Everyone wants it. You're making millions and millions and millions of dollars. There's an opportunity for us to be able to, whether it's tax, tariff, whatever you want to call it, to take that money and do better with it. Now,
tariffs are basically taxing.
What happens after that shit? Oh, come on in, bud. Yeah, what's up, dude?
Let's go on,
man. So, to take that money and then to do good with it is the back half of it, right?
I would agree with you, fundamentally speaking. However, I would have to pose a question to you then.
I'm ready for it.
All right. So the company is bringing something in,
okay,
and you say, you know what? I want you to pay $100 more to bring this into the country.
Okay.
What company has ever said, you know what? I'm going to eat that $100 and not change the price of my product just because? It's not business. That's not business sense whatsoever. Yes. So when a $100 tariff, tax, whatever is put on something, that is added into the overall cost and then passed on to the consumers. So in either way, whether directly or indirectly, it's being paid for by the consumers.
And ultimately, whose decision is it for us to continue to buy or support that product?
Us.
That lies on us. And if a product gets too expensive, I don't know what you do, but if a product ends up getting expensive, I have to make the decision to go, how much of value is that to me? Every time Netflix price has gone up in price, I have to make the conscious decision and go, it's gone up in price. Now, why it went up in price, that is out of my control, so to speak. But when it goes up in price, I then have to make the conscious decision based off of my needs, my budget, my income, my reasons to go, now I get it. It's gonna impact people because there are some people that are not going to be able to afford it that need it. Yeah. But if you need the product and it's a product that's required, whether it's software, whether it's whatever, you then, that's the capitalism world that we live in, that's the business world that we live in, have to make the decision. Now, then what happens on the flip side of that is if the company decides to up the price $100 and their sales go, they then have to make the decision to figure out how to either eat that cost, lose some of their profits to be able to just continue to make profit, because some money's better than none. You know, if you're making $100 million, and now you're making $90 million, well, I'd rather take that $90 million than just say close up the doors and I'm out of here. It ultimately comes. Now you're right. It does trickle down.
We're talking about where it's changing in prices of so much to where you can't afford it anymore. We're talking about it going up $2, $3, $4, $5.
But to a lot of people, to a lot of people and some people, maybe not a lot, but there are people where $2, $3, that's it.
But you're also referring to when tariffs, like these tariffs aren't just on normal consumer goods. These are on steel, aluminum, all of this stuff that actually our major corporations build, or buy and receive, that sort of thing. So now it's putting. Well, I guess like we said, we're going to have to see. I don't see companies saying, you know what, that's all right. We'll go ahead and eat that. We'll eat that tariff, and we'll just keep the price the same. I mean, it literally goes against all business sense. Period.
It does,
but as business in general, I think that's like business 101.
So I got to give you the but, because I think part of why we're talking about this and some of the reasons is, at least what you have expressed, is the cutbacks, right? That's a decision on the company then to then go, hey, and I'll give you. I know you love the guy Elon. I know you love him, but But I'll give you the example of him with Twitter, right? He has publicly stated and went out there that he got rid of like 80% of that workforce that was there before he took it over. And come to find out, he didn't need that. What he has to operate it now is what was required, at least in his business model, to operate that business. So if a product goes up in price, and the company then has to decide, like, okay, shit, I'm losing $10 million a year. Where can I cut? Okay, can I do the same thing with 5 accountants versus the 10? Yeah, it can.
If he's not worried about losing $10 million a year,
Elon's not.
Yeah, I know. Elon's not. That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Tell me, has Twitter value, or X now is value, has that gone up or down?
Well, it's gone down because of the guy in charge now.
So, is that good businessman? Is that a good businessman that you want running a company? A guy that cut, whatever you said, 80% of the staff, whatever, and now the value of the company has now gone down millions of dollars.
Yeah,
tens of millions, whatever it may be.
Elon
is that a good businessman?
Well,
and I mean, and now that we're getting onto the Elon,
no, it is not. But
when you go into the Elon part, when you go in and just start gutting government agencies, there's actually no rhyme or reason to it. You just send out mass letters for people to quit or possibly be fired.
Mm-hmm.
When there's no thought process into your reduction of staff, that in itself isn't efficient.
Well, I don't know. I can't imagine that at that level there isn't some type of statistics and information provided for a. I mean, the guy's.
But why aren't they providing it then?
Can we agree that the guy's a genius? The guy is a fucking smart son of a bitch, dude. Whether you agree with his,
he has definitely partnered up with very smart people. Like, he didn't create Tesla, just so everybody knows. Like, that was created by other people, and he purchased Tesla and took Tesla to where it's at. Okay, so yes, that is smart, but
it's smart to do that. Yeah. So we can agree that the guy is smart. We can get on that same level that the guy is smart. The guy is
Dustin Hoffman and the Rain Man was smart.
Movie.
There's lots of people that are smart, but I wouldn't want them to fucking have control of my country.
Well,
there's lots of smart people.
He's different, boy.
Off. He's a little off.
Smart people that are at that level of brain are you typically a little bit odd. There's no lie about that. I mean, what's the guy that used to run Microsoft?
Okay.
Bill Gates, and there was a big guy. Steve something.
Jobs? Oh, no.
Steve was out. Not Steve was out. That's Monsters Inc. Anyways, most people are they're odd. They're different. They're not of the social construct, and I think it's because their mind is so out there. But what I'm going with this is basically that guy's smart. I think we can all look at him and go, damn, I don't have that mental capacity that
he's an intelligent person, yes.
And I don't think that an intelligent person of his caliber would just go and be like, without looking at some data, without having some information provided to him. Now,
I'm sure I got notes on there about that.
Whether that information that's being provided to him is accurate and fact-based, well, that's a whole nother side effect. But
if someone needs that sort of checks and balances in there, like, you can't just have people like, hey, fire these 1,000 people, and you're like, yeah, sure, boop, 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 and they're fired. Like, have a little bit of these are people's lives. I know you said, like, people get, laid off all the time. That happens, whatever.
I have been, yeah.
But when you go through mass firing of people with not, I feel there's not really any rhyme or reason to it. You're thinking that there might be some sort of a rhyme reason?
What I'm thinking is, what I'm feeling, we'll see when all the stuff kind of hits the fan and it lands, right? Sure. What I'm thinking is that the man who purchased Twitter, X now, whatever you want to call it, made a business decision that was maybe beneficial to him, or at least how it was. Because that after everything was said and done, all the numbers that Twitter was presenting to him was wrong. Their advertising numbers weren't what they were. They had a bunch of other bullshit that, like, bots and all this. So
they've literally lost millions of dollars in advertising because companies are
I think they lost millions of dollars of advertising because the majority of users that were on Twitter were of a certain like mind, and then this guy got in and they're like, fuck that place, I'm out. And they were not going to support something that they're not going to support and do something with a person that they don't have trust or belief or faith in or support. I'm going to do
different way of looking at it. Like I didn't get that, but I mean, that's a possibility.
I would bail, I would bail on somebody. Like I've bailed on products where I'm like, I don't believe in that shit anymore. Like they're standard.
I'll never buy a Tesla.
They're standard.
Yeah, see, there you go. See?
Like that shit.
I'm trying to
Here's some horsepower.
Yeah, I shit to make some noise.
Uh-huh. There are products that I've bailed on and said I'm not buying that ever again because of things that they've done, and I can't. Nothing can come off the top of my head right now, but I've made that decision based sometimes off of like who's in charge or like what they stand for or what they believe in. And I think Twitter was like a giant aspect of that, where it was heavily saturated with a certain type of mindset. And then a new mindset came in and they're like, fuck that guy, I'm going to burn him down, and I'm going to try and burn that guy as best as I can, and the best way I can is to get the fuck out and not give him any of my money. And yeah, you're going to think it.
That might be a portion of it, but I mean, I feel like his
and Elon,
crazy behavior, like he's trying to tell other governments in other countries what they need to do. The UK, Britain, he's trying to tell them what they need to do. Germany, he's trying to tell them who needs to be leading their country. Like the Twitter X.
I would listen at least. I don't know that you have to take it under your wing, but I'd at least listen and go, what do you got to say? And then you come back and go, you're a fucking idiot.
Hey, all right. It's very out there type of stuff, but whatever. It's just I feel like the Twitter kind of took him to another level where he thinks he's, I don't know, just kind of beyond untouchable type of shit where he could say and do whatever, and I just feel like that. I think Twitter should never give anybody that much power where they feel like that.
Here's where I think with Twitter, Elon has, I told you, and I've heard this from, I think it was Adam Carolla says this a lot, because this is where I picked it up, and I go, fuck, that's right. Elon Musk has what I refer to as fuck me money.
Yeah.
He can fuck himself, and it does not affect his bottom line. There's fuck you money where you can lose money to go, fuck you. And then there's money where you can, and then there's fuck me money where you can lose your ass and fuck your own damn self and still not have any. That's what Elon has.
Fuck you money is good for a businessman. Fuck you money is not good for running a country. You can't tell people fuck you. You can't tell countries fuck you because you're not doing what I want you to do. That's just not. Okay.
Yes.
That's the whole part of dealing with diplomacy.
That's the word you really want.
Diplomacy, all right? Like, that's the whole point. That's presidents. That's what people that are representing our government are supposed to have, is diplomacy, where they can deal with other countries and not try and call them names and not try and like do hostile negotiations with people. Like, that's not.
At some point, when do you call a spade a spade? In your personal shit, in your personal life, at what point do you call someone out and just say, hey man, I got to tell you like it is? Whether it's the right or wrong thing to do, at what point do you kind of dive in and like, because there are things in my example, I've told my friends, man, hey Doug, I'm going to tell you shit that you don't want to hear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm going to tell you that shit. And there becomes a point when people are talking to you and you go, listen, man, let me tell you what you don't want to hear, what you need to hear.
Yes.
And then what you do with that, after I tell you, that is 100% on you.
Yes.
And for someone like him to be telling people like, hey, you run your country like shit. That's his opinion. And that's him just going, hey, let me tell you what I think and what I believe. Now, what somebody from that country or whoever he's talking about takes after that, that's on that person. But sometimes there becomes a point where people just go, this shit. I'm going to say what I need to say and let the chips land where they land.
I just don't believe that's anybody in our country's place to say what another country needs to do with their people. That's like Germany coming over and telling Trump, you're doing shit all wrong and you need to do it like this. Whether we did it like that or not, that is not even your place. This isn't your house to say anything about.
Well, people do all the time up towards our country.
Not high-ranking political figures. What are they? I can't think of anything recent where somebody has told the U.S. what we're supposed to do.
I'll circle back to it and go, why I believe that may be the case? Career politicians. If
politicians, a whole other deal. Term limits.
That's why other countries may not have the balls to say that, and they may not have the balls to say it also because, let's be real, the United States fucking funds a lot of different places.
As far as term limits.
No, I mean as far as like you saying no other country is going to tell us like you do this like dog shit, right? No other country is going to tell us that.
Yeah.
And I believe that no other country is going to tell us that shit because they know, like, I can't fuck with those guys because
because their military will beat us up.
No, because
we're the big bully on the block.
No, because when there is, when there's aid that's needed, when there's help that's needed, when there's support that's required, when there are those needs, majority of the time, who are these people coming to?
I know we like to think we're the only ones that do it, but I mean there are other countries that come in and aid.
We're not the only ones that do it, but who is?
But who is the leader of the world? Would you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Would you say, you know what, the world leader is Germany? No.
Nope.
Would you say the world leader is China? No. The world fucking leader is the United fucking States of America. All right. So that doesn't mean we're there to spread, good around the world. Now, do we need to overextend ourselves so we're, overly, giving out money and not, taking for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
No. And again, that may be something that we need to tweak and work with.
Yeah.
Again, I think
that's why people won't say it towards us because of that. Because we are the number one. You don't fuck with the big dog. You don't ruffle the waters. You don't move the waters of the person that you're like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to need your help in 5 years, but I better not say shit right now because in 5 years, I might need your fucking help winning this war over here so I can go and win that country and I can make more money. We don't know what their backhand shit is.
First of all, as far as that's concerned, we shouldn't be backing any country that's invading any other country.
I'm talking in terms of aid. I'm talking in terms of when other places then go, when I need to go buy a house or a car. When
there's a government that's going bad and dictators in there.
No, when I go,
we send our troops over there to install our people that we want in there.
I think we send our
military over there.
We send our military
to get rid of the current government that we don't like, dictators or whoever. And then we hold elections, democratic elections,
but we don't
and then our person gets in there.
But we don't send them to a country that's not an ally, or at least in terms of whoever the administration is considered as an ally, as a friend.
Back in the day, Desert Storm, Kuwait, like they weren't a fucking ally. Like we went into exactly.
Who sent them in there?
Yeah.
Oil, money.
Yeah, no.
That's why he sent them in there.
And that's why we've continued to go back to the Middle East for wars or the war, the terrorism, whatever it is. Like, yeah, we're trying to get,
follow the money, Val. You'll find it all, follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. I mean, you can narrow almost all problems and all issues down to where the fuck is the money going because, it's going somewhere.
It is, man.
I'm sorry.
No,
that's always something else that we had talked about too, about fraud. All this fraud in Social Security, right?
Yeah.
And we had talked about I think Musk came out and said, I saved you guys $50 billion. And again, this is without showing anything. Well, there's a little research going into it, and it's like, oh, well, it's actually just $2 billion. So you can go out and you can make a statement. I saved you $2 billion is a lot of money. We spend that more than that on a freeway, but cool. You say it's $2 billion. But when you come out and you say $50 billion, not everybody goes and looks, to see if you really saved us $50 billion. Mm-hmm. So they're running around thinking, you saved us $50 billion. And actually, I did have some notes on that too. Like, they've had to literally take down their accomplishments from that website that they have, like of their receipts, what they're doing. They've had to take down the 5 top accomplishments they've had because they were incorrect. They were false information, and it's like that's what I'm talking about. With there's no looking into what he's actually doing. He just comes out and says, "I saved you $50 million," and everyone's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah."
I think that's
like once you look into it, you're like, well, really?
I think that's the beating of the chest. I think that's the, I am king, I am lion, I am top of this mountain, hear me roar. Let me make sure that you know what I'm doing.
But that's not what we need. Like, we need you to tell us what the fuck you're actually doing.
Well, so let me ask you this.
That's where I don't trust him on the firing.
So is it confirmed? I'll ask you because I don't know. Is it confirmed that $2 billion was saved?
2.56 or something like that.
That is confirmed. That is like a realistic number of what they,
my understanding, I mean,
of what they found within Social Security aspect of where they
ended up being, what ended up being a
discrepancy. Right. Yes. Okay. Now, I will agree and say, yeah, man, you should. I would rather have you come out and say, I saved you $2.5 billion, and not pound your chest and inflate that number and make it seem like we're such fucking the greatest. Because again, I don't think these guys are out for the best interest, but these are people now that have been fucked with for so long that they're out. Who? Would you say Trump has been fucked with for a long time? Both before he was a politician, times 10 before he got into politics.
After politics, yes, but I don't.
Was he fucked with before?
No,
man,
he was going on TV shows because why? Oh, I'm just rich. I came from a rich family. I have a hotel in my name.
Yeah,
and then I ended up going through 6 bankruptcies. I've bankrupted casinos.
Yeah, that's a businessman.
Like it or not, I hate to break. When you bankrupt a casino,
he did what
casinos literally make money.
He did what you said. He snuck his way in through regulations. He found a way to scheme it and plot it. From a business end of it, because we operate a business here, from a business end of it, dog, I'm going to try and scheme and plot the system the best as I can.
All right. But you feel that somebody like that should be leading our country? Somebody that has led multiple of his companies in bankruptcy. 6 times, I would say, maybe 5, 6 times. That's almost a consistent basis of running a company into bankruptcy. You want that guy to be in charge of our country. Even that doesn't give you any pause. There's no red flags there.
I will say this. Even after that, he's successful. Even after those failures.
No, but when you claim bankruptcy, they freeze your assets so they don't continue taking money. So he maintained his millionaire status.
So he was successful in doing it.
In scheming the system?
We all do.
That's what we were just talking about. We always have those assholes that will scheme the system. And so now we have an asshole scheming the system that's leading our country.
Yes. We all are. I think we're all guilty of being able to take the most advantage of what
is available
to you. Yep. Insurance companies, like when I've had a motorcycle accident before. Fuck, man, I try and squeeze it.
I told on a bike.
Right, and that's me trying to scheme and plot the system. That's me. So when that, I think that's human. Unfortunately, that is kind of like a
that's human.
That's a false statement to say that it's like a human like instinct. I think when you see like, hey, I could do this and nobody will know,
it'll be all right. Make a little extra money.
That's the devil and the angel on the shoulder, right?
Agreed. Agreed. But I just don't feel like I know that you've done that, and I'm like, you know what? I think you're going to be the best one to make decisions for our country. That's where it stops for me.
Well, okay, there's a term.
You're a businessman. You've figured out ways, and when you're rich, you can pay attorneys to find out a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of shit that nobody even knows about. I mean, how do you think they don't pay taxes?
Yep.
Like all the time on a regular basis. So,
I know that they're
so it's not a matter of like he's being smart. He just has enough money to fucking pay people to. Like,
and how can you not?
He ties courts up into litigation. When have you ever seen a president suing news companies over their coverage of himself?
Well, I think the coverage that they do over him is not in a good light.
Correct, but
So there's a thing called defamation, and there's a thing.
You know what? When has there never not been a president that news stations don't talk shit about? One side or the other.
I don't think that there's been a president that has ever been under this much scrutiny and this much spotlight than him. Agreed. In terms of the media. And how
like he's brought it on himself though. And how they've attacked him, I feel like he's brought it on himself. How he talks, how he does business, how he conducts himself.
And I think it's just because he ruffles feathers. He's not a,
but he also like Ukraine, with allies and stuff like that. He backing Russia. He said Ukraine started it by not coming up with a deal for Russia invading them. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what does that even fucking mean? We're America. We are about other countries not invading other countries. Like, that's not a thing. Like, like that's what we're here to make sure doesn't happen. Is America.
I agree.
That's what the fuck we're here for. We just say, you know what? Get your ass back.
Yeah.
Get your ass back in your fucking countries. Right?
I agree.
Get the fuck back. And what are we doing? All right. That's cool. And what point, you know what? If we come up with a good fucking treaty, we'll on it. It's good. Calls Zelensky a dictator. Are you? That's mind-boggling. Coming from someone that's supporting Putin right now. Putin is literally a dictator. Literally, they are not a free country. You can be arrested for arguing against the government. So that's, I mean, by definition, a dictator. So you're calling the opposite side of the country that got invaded, calling him a dictator. But Putin's cool. Fuck it, you know? Hey, Putin's my brother. Hey, I know Putin. I've known him for a long time, you know. We've talked a lot, you know.
There are some things that I'll scratch my head against, and I'll go, and they don't always make sense. But I'm focused on, or I guess not where I'm focused, because I'm not focused on this shit. I guess where I just want to see is that it's America first. America first. And I feel like this presidency or this administration is trying to make that happen. And it may not be in the way that you want it to be or anybody else, but I want to see, okay, and the example would be the $2.65 billion that you said is confirmed that was out there. That's a lot.
But that's also from firing people and setting funding on fucking medical research, cancer. I have a big problem with that too. My mother's got cancer, so you're gonna stop research on cancer. So what? For what?
Because we have private industries that do 10 times better than the government could ever do trying to fund that type of stuff.
The government aid is what provides the private industry companies to do that research.
Dude, they give them aid, but it's not all of it.
No, but it's a good portion of it on many, research, studies and that sort of thing. So let's just cut that off and hope you get find enough money to do your research. Like, cool.
Where's the pizza, Mark? Did they eat it all?
Yeah. I'm keeping you too long.
No. There pizza over there?
Yeah, there's a few people.
All right, I'll come grab some right now. All right, man. But we're wrapping up here, man, because Drew will keep me going all damn day over here. Boy,
I got stuff to say about a lot of stuff. Sorry, man. Sorry.
No, man.
Ray, are you heading up to Fagora tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're meeting here at 10 and we're leaving here at 10:30. We're putting a ride together here.
Okay, I'm going to San Luis Obispo and I was going to hit it on the way back.
Okay, it's from like 11 to 4, man, so that's a good amount of time. Yeah, I'm going to hand some of these out tomorrow. We're going to do a little video and shit, man. All right, homeboy. All right, man.
Take it easy, man.
Take care.
That's our homeboy Mark, man. He works with Law Tigers. Good guy, man. Always supporting us and shit, man. Thanks. Anyways, Drew, I think maybe we need to extend I need to go back and do my research. You need to go back and do a little bit more yours.
Sorry, I was like, man, he wants to come and talk about this, because that Facebook stuff. I got a lot of people talking some shit. They got their own, deals to say. I want you to provide indisputable evidence. And I'm like, well, you don't believe in science or physics, so I mean, what indisputable evidence can I provide for you?
I don't have the time to go and research and get.
I'm not doing all that. You know what? This is what I got to say. If you want to figure that out, you can research it on your own, bro.
Yeah.
Listen, this is how I feel. And that's why I've always said, like, listen, if you don't, like, there's a lot of shit I see on there that I don't fucking agree with at all. And I actually I'm kind of annoyed sometimes when I see, actually, my cousin posts a bunch of annoying ass shit that I fucking can't stand. But, sometimes I comment on it, shit, my cousin or whatever. But, like, you know what, like, something like, you can scroll past that shit. Like, you know what, like, learn how to, like, conduct yourself as an adult. Like, you know, if you got something to say, okay, make your statement, whatever, like that. But then you start getting into some, questionable ass fucking comments, keyboard warring it up, and
I think you and
that's not okay.
I think yours and I back and forth has always been amicable. It's been just like level headed. Yeah. I never feel like there's like
so there's a twins or when you say the friends like, oh, what the fuck? God damn it! Like that's kind of a good point, son of a bitch. Like,
same dog, same.
You know,
but I think in the end, man, like this is a podcast that I have never done in my time. Like I wouldn't say I avoid it because I'm sure you know, man. Harley people tend to probably be more on the conservative side. You know, I think that's kind of a fair statement. You know,
listen, you know, like the laborist side of the working field is more of a conservative Republican type thing. I have to say. In general, in overall. I mean, obviously, you have the the fucking random me's here and there, you know. But most of the people are, you know, Republican, conservative, Republican.
But you came into this with saying something that I respect, and I think a lot of people should take away and try and approach it that way. Is that you've sides on both ends. You can see and you can like go, oh, I don't agree with it all, you know, and this type of dialogue, this type of conversation, I think is like extremely important. We lack it. Everyone's always so worried about nowadays. Like I came in here just going like, I'm gonna have a conversation with Drew, and we're just gonna like go back and forth and shit. And I wasn't coming in here to try and change your mind. I wasn't coming in here to try and say how, you know, like.
And I appreciate that so much because you know what, that makes it easier for me to listen to your point of view. And you know what, like. Again, maybe I don't agree with whatever you're saying, but like it gives me a moment of pause to like, well, let me think about that a little bit. Like, let me think about what you're saying and that take that information in.
And I think
I just like it doesn't go that way when it comes to social media type shit.
Doesn't.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're not communicating directly with somebody, there's not the tone, you know, or nuance of what you're typing out of how you would say it. So, you know, I may say, oh, don't be a fucking idiot, you know, like, I can say that, but don't be a fucking idiot typed out doesn't look, you know, like that nice.
100% agree.
So I feel like actual communication is a big step forward for both sides.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they've both just gone
so far
in opposite directions where neither side is really even completely recognizable anymore. I mean, like, realistically, you know,
sad.
Republicans back in the day used to be fiscally sound, financially sound in all their decision making. You know, like less government.
I still am, Drew.
Less government. Less than that. Well, okay. Like, I got you. Well, but one last thing I'm going to say. You know, now I have a daughter, right? So I have a daughter. She's getting older and that sort of thing. And you know, by Trump, you know, gave that the Supreme Court shit, which is a whole nother story. You know, we might have
save that one for another one.
Part 2 coming up. You know? But I have a daughter now, so I've kind of like reevaluated some of my thoughts on particular things. You know, like I said before, you know, with abortion.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not there are people, like I said, like, they're like, yeah, you can have an abortion whenever you want. That should be your birth control. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's just dumb, irresponsible ass, not grown up shit. Okay. And then there's a side that says, like, you can't have an abortion no matter what happened, anything, or any reason whatsoever. Okay. I don't agree with either side of that. However, with my daughter, having a daughter, I do not feel that the government should tell my daughter what she does with her body at any fucking point in time. Not, like it shouldn't even be we want small government. We don't want the government to tell us what to do, unless it's with a girl's body, what they can do with a children or with a possible child.
I get it.
Like I will never ever at any point in time agree with that, and I feel like that's where hypocrisy comes in.
And that is where the experiences, points of view change, life-changing things happen. You know, you may not think that way had you not had a daughter, right? Yes, and so
exactly. Realistically, my daughter took me from fucking this.
Oh yeah,
you know, brought me down to me and helped me.
I got 3 of them, boy,
and realize it and just kind of have a new
You see things in a different light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't see everything from from the high school boys that we were trying to just be gross maniacs partying and hanging out. Right? Like that's not how we look at it no more. So again, getting back to it, I don't feel that the government should ever tell a woman what to do with her body. There's not anything necessarily yet that they can tell us about what to do with our body, which I don't think they would. We don't.
I'll stand on one more on that and go. I just don't think the government should be telling us what to do in fucking general. There should just be some like, hey, here's some general construct of society and some rules and things that you need to like abide by, so we can all be living amongst in peace and kind of just a society,
in a civil manner.
Yeah, I believe that. Going. I believe government needs to be there for that. Like and
the police to settle whatever disputes. Not that I call them for anything. But
see, that's what I'm saying.
If they're needed first,
not everybody. Not everybody needs them. I don't always need them.
I've never called them
exactly.
So
but I don't
think they shouldn't be there.
See, and that's what I'm saying, man. Just because you need them or use them or your beliefs are, I ain't calling them, doesn't mean that you don't think that they shouldn't exist. And I think that's like to wrap this up. I think what I'm taking away from this, and I hope that anybody that watches this, because we don't go down this type of road very often, is that two people with two different walks of life, with two different points of view, can still sit down and have a conversation. And I'm going to walk away from this going, fuck, man, it was good to see you. It was a good fucking talk. And I'm not going to walk away with any hurt feelings. I don't think you are either. I'm going to walk away from this, and I will say, like, Brew is an example of where I think people need to try and go, because there was something that I said amongst our Facebook back and forth a little bit that you scratch your head a little bit. You kind of went, huh, and you acknowledged it like, hey, valid and good points. And to the point where you went and said, let me look into that. And this right here is what people need to try and do a little bit more. You don't need to have a conversation. You shouldn't go into a conversation always just trying to be ready to fire off and just
attack. Be defensive where I want to defend my opinion. Like, what? Again, you're not changing the way I'm thinking. I'm not changing the way you're thinking. You're going to come out and still, think the way you think and think. But you know what? If it makes you stop for a second and just kind of take pause and think about something for a little bit longer, hey, man,
what I know that I will do from this is just talking to you is I will take like points of view, the things that you said, some of the things that you said, and go, next time something like that comes up, then I had the experience. I had the experience to have another person's point of view from the other side of it and go, maybe let me reevaluate that a little bit.
What those fucking liberals are thinking. Just fucking liberals. That's what those fucks are thinking, dude. If you got any questions on that, you can hit me up, dude. I'll let you know what the fuck we're thinking, dude.
Fair enough, man. So, it was fun, man. We could always do this again, man. I tell everybody here, once you walk into our studio, you're kind of family. You're just kind of, you're welcome anytime. If you feel like, Ray, I need round two, then we'll do round two.
I think we might need to get that, dude.
Yeah, man.
A lot of things that we did in this segment.
Maybe
I appreciate you having me in and having a discussion, having a conversation. That's like I texted you before. Hey, is this going to be a conversation? Like,
are you worried?
I'm just not trying to argue with motherfuckers on my day. This is my day off. All right,
I'm trying to talk, have a beer.
I'm drinking and hanging the fuck out. All right, so I'm not trying to come in here getting hostile and arguing and shit. Like, listen. If you want to have a conversation, by all means, we can have that. And I will listen to you. Unfortunately, I get excited, so I just try to I start blurting shit out. Like when something pops in my head, I'm like, oh, well. And then, exactly. My bad. I'm sorry I cut you off a few times. I cut you off a few times, but like, it's just, I'm a
well, maybe the next
short-term, that long-term memory, goes.
I feel you, dog. The next one, maybe what we'll do is I like to bring in, instead of just the one-on-one, one more from your side, air quotes, from your point of view. From your point of view, we're not going to say sides because that's a terrible way to put it. Terrible way to put it. I don't know
anybody from my side, really.
Oh, really?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, I probably know some people, but like most of my friends and
I say that, and I say that because that point of view will bring in different points of the conversation. You know, the conversation will go in different directions.
Because they don't necessarily think the same way I think.
And they have different information. They have different experiences. They have those different type of things, man. So this was fun. This was a little bit different one for me. I also came into it I'm going like, damn, dude, how much do I want to dive? Like, where do I want to touch on this? It's sensitive, you know?
No, for sure.
But I definitely think that we just had a real one-on-one, the conversation that we were having via Facebook back and forth just carried on right here. And that's all I wanted to do instead of
And there's only so much I can type back and forth.
Yeah, I know. We got a kid. I got a kid. We got lives, man. We got shit to do, man. So, well, Drew, I appreciate it, man. It's good to see you, dog.
It's good.
And we'll do round 2, man. And when you're ready to get back on a Harley, when you're ready, you shouldn't come to see me. I'll make sure that you get hooked up with somebody here.
I'm like
someday.
Nah, like I said, I've been itching for like the last 5 years, really. But I'm like, my daughter's getting older. I'm just kind of trying.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 13.
13, man. I got an 18-year-old dog.
Yeah.
18.
She's 14 and it's Cinco de Mayo,
Oh, man.
So it's a fucking trip, man.
I know, dog. I know. No more for you? You're done?
Look, it
ain't in the cards for you right now.
I know that's like planning something out, dude. I feel like that ain't in my future plan.
It ain't in the cards right now for it, man.
So,
well, Drew, appreciate it, man. You guys, every Thursday, 7 p.m., these podcasts drop on the YouTube channel. And, of course, every Monday at 4 p.m., our blogs drop. This is an open conversation. This is an open platform. We're motorcycle guys. Drew's riding a motorcycle. We'll get him back on 2 wheels at some point. But this is a motorcycle podcast for the most part. But this is just a conversation podcast, man. We like to just have real conversations around here and keep it real. And although a little bit different than what the norm is, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Drew's going to come back because I know he's going to go back and start Googling. He's going to bring some stuff.
I'm some shit.
So we'll follow up on this one, man. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Drew, thanks again, man, for coming by.
Thank you.
See you guys on the next one. Later.